Good evening, good morning to Namaskar, Adab, and welcome to our fifth webinar of the C4 Wellness Conclave, Breathe to Live. Today's session is on what to expect when you're expecting. I am your host and your host for this evening. My name is Dr. Suhani Mendonça. I am the director at Yellow Spider Events and the project director at Mendonça Foundation. And yes, a whole lot of things that I do along with it. That's a talk show host and giving back to society, social service is something my calling, and that's about me. Well, this entire C4 Wellness webinar was curated by none other than the wonderful Dr. Shilpa Desai. She is the first health psychologist of India, a prolific scientist, wellness expert, founder and managing director of C4 Integrated Wellness and World Wellness Federation. And she was also the COVID officer at IPL 2021, which was held in BCCI. And C4, as you all saw the wonderful film, what C4 is all about, it's a private limited company which is recognized internationally, and our aim is to get our whole global wellness to our community, healthy and a fit generation before there is any need of a surgery or for specifically, for people who are having pain ailments. And the best part of it is during this pandemic, C4 Wellness is also a center for vaccination. So yes, that's what Dr. Shilpa Desai and a wonderful C4 Wellness is all about. Well, this a wonderful webinar that we are having would not be possible without the support of our wonderful partners. So I'd like to definitely say, just take their names. That is Day to Day Profit, Yellow Spider Events, Wellness Centauri, POC, Rotary Club of Mumbai, Disha Chocolates, Kumut Cycle, Proviva Pharma, Custom Arts, Triveni Media, World Wellness Federation. Let me remind you that this webinar is out of 4 countries, that is UK, US, Canada, and Apna Bharat Mahan. That's right. Well, getting on to a wonderful webinar for today. As you know, the topic is what to expect when you're expecting. So to get it on a bit of a lighter mode, I was just going through, and it just reminded me about this dialogue, of actually it's a romantic dialogue where the husband says to the wife that, I know I'm going to love our child because I love the hell out of their mother. And the other dialogue was even more funnier. So the wife says that, I was dreaming that I had a kangaroo pouch, and it was like a purse where I could hide my snacks in it. So isn't that funny? But imagine pregnancy in the midst of this pandemic. So many questions, so many fears. So to see to it that we take away all your fears, take away all your myths, and give you what the reality is, let's get on the wonderful and the eminent panelists we have. Well, I'd like to call upon our first panelist. That's Dr. Kunjal Bhatija. She's the MD, DGO, FG, PCD, consultant, obstetrician, and gynecologist, assistant professor in the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology, infertility specialist. Overall, she has almost 29 years of experience attached to Bombay Hospital and Medical Research Center. She's a medical director and she has her clinic at Strand, Mumbai. So, Dr. Kunjal Bhatija, very, very warm welcome to our wonderful webinar. That's the 5th webinar in the row. Thank you for joining us.
Hello.
Yeah. Well, our second guest is also an eminent doctor who's done brilliant work in her field. That's Dr. Swati Shivsagar, founder of Precision Diagnostic Center, ex-consultant radiologist, women aging specialist, a passionate radiologist, and a compassionate human being. She has a strong desire to provide state-of-the-art diagnostic services, which she has been providing, let me correct that, for over 2 decades, and she is a fantastic teacher too, a passionate one, and she is on the mission to create awareness about breast cancer. Dr. Swati, a very, very warm welcome to you.
Thank you,
Well,
Dr. Sani, for the wonderful introduction.
yeah. Our next guest is Nandan Bhatt. Actually, Nandan Bhatt is the founder and director of Eco-Kari, which is humanizing fashion. He works with people from humble backgrounds and provides livelihood to youth and women. His handcrafted accessories like bags and office utilities are made by upcycling waste of plastic bags, and that he also does a specific customization, especially for the corporates. If they require, he does customization for them too. So a very, very warm welcome, Nandan Bhatt, and you are one lucky
Thank
man
you.
because you are going to be surrounded with 5 women today. So must mention that.
Yes.
Well, our next guest is the wonderful, vivacious Vivin Matthias. Vivin has bagged a gold medal in MTech Network Engineering. She is served as a software developer for about 4 years. She's been a strong adherent of Inspire over influence policy. But after becoming a mother, she took a break from work and started her own venture. And that venture is very interesting because she's going to talk about it to us today. And it is currently in the development stage, though, but yet she's working on it. And empowering women in providing solutions to business online is something which she really works towards. And let me tell you, she is a mother, and as of now, she's expecting her second child. So, a very, very warm welcome, Vivin. Thank you for joining us today on our wonderful panel that we have. How are you doing, Vivin?
All good, Shani. Thank you so much for warm welcoming.
Okay. If I may ask, has our next guest, Aditri Deepika, joined us? She's a cinephile and a dedicated professional. She has worked as a creative director and a festival coordinator at various international film festivals. She's right now in the middle of a shoot. So she was very hopeful that she would join us. So Nandan, instead of five, you'll have four beautiful women who you're going to be surrounded with. Well, so ladies and the one and only gent, are we ready for our wonderful panel? Should I bring it on? The questions, yes? So if all of y'all are ready, please can I see your thumbs up and then we can start. Great, super, fantastic. So I would really like to start. There are at these times, especially of times of this pandemic, there is so many myths floating around in people's head because of the fears that they have. So Dr. Kunjal Patija would really like to start with you and ask you, we have been always promoting that get yourself vaccinated, okay? So vaccination for expecting mothers, can you tell us how safe it is, and is it that they should get vaccinated? Please, could you tell us more about it?
Yes, all the pregnant ladies should get vaccinated. The case fertility rate in second wave increased to more than 5.7%. The severe COVID cases increased, with pregnant patients requiring ICU admission increased to around 8.3% more than the first wave. So it realized that it was definitely vaccination was a big priority to be given, because the pregnant patients were getting lot of symptoms and requiring ICU admissions. So
Mm,
vaccination now, with a joint study done by B. Vera Nair Hospital and
mm,
ICMR, now have,
right.
with the recent guidelines, have
Mm,
suggested that all pregnant patients should get vaccinated at
okay,
whichever stage of pregnancy they are. First
okay,
trimester, first 3 months of pregnancy, second trimester, and third trimester. Whichever trimester they are, they should definitely get vaccinated with whichever vaccine they get available at the earliest. Because
right.
we have seen lot of side effects and complications in pregnancy if not managed well. There can be premature labor, preterm labor, stillbirth in these pregnant patients. So, vaccination is a need of an hour. We are making a preg COVID registry in which
Mm,
we are recording the pregnant patients, and when they are coming to antenatal visits, we are counseling them that you require vaccination to prevent complication with yourself and your growing baby. Even breastfeeding and lactating mothers should be given vaccination, because
okay,
the immunity is transferred from the breast milk to the baby. So you are
very
even
true.
looking after your baby. So all the pregnant patients now, we are recommending with the crisp and clear guidelines that they
Mhm.
should be vaccinated at the earliest to avoid all the complications.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that wonderful sharing, Dr. Kunjal, because, when the vaccinations had started the first set of vaccinations started, that time they had said, not to give, not to give. And now and thank you so much for, clearing it for wonderful viewers, because there are a whole lot of viewers who have joined us today. And I'm sure they are wondering, what to do in this situation. And you clarified their myth. So I think that was really something which was
And
wonderful.
even if they're yeah, even if they're planning pregnancy, suppose they are want to
Right.
come and ask doctor, should I become pregnant? Should I take
Mm,
vaccine and then become pregnant? What should be the
mm,
gap
mm.
between the pregnancy and vaccination? There's
Yeah.
so many doubts patients are having about COVID
Yeah.
and
Right.
pregnancy. So
Right.
now we
Right.
are very clear, and we guide them during your menses, during your pregnancy planning,
Mm,
preconception. anytime you should
You
take
should take
vaccination.
vaccine.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Kunjal. That was wonderful sharing. And I think it was most required. That brings me to Dr. Swati. Dr. Swati is, as you all heard, she is she's a radiologist. And at these times, we really require one. So tell me, Dr. Swati, what is it that a woman, when she's pregnant, when she's expecting, what are the tools of diagnostic is that they should avoid at the time of their when they're expecting.
Yeah, so Dr. Sohani, first let me just brief about what a radiologist means. So there are
Right,
many modalities which come under radiology. So we
right,
as a student, we get to learn all the missing modalities and mainly they are
right,
X-ray, sonography, CT scan and MRI. Now
right,
X-ray, mammography and CT scan, these three modalities, they make use of X-ray radiation. Okay, they are
right,
both the equipments are different. The main usage is the X-rays. Now, when we are talking about the pregnancy, during the pregnancy, any kind of X-ray radiation needs to be avoided because X-rays they are also called as ionizing radiation. Means they create changes at the level of the ion. So whether you are pregnant or not pregnant, they are not means they can be harmful. But of course,
right,
the risks have to be weighed against the benefits also. So whenever it is
right.
required, for example, say an X-ray is required when there is a fracture or if there is needs to be a
Yeah,
diagnosis of a pneumonia needs to be done. Or in COVID pandemic, now we all have witnessed a huge and the use of the HRCT test. It has
right,
really has been a lifesaver and for not only for the diagnosing but even for the staging and from prognosis point of view also.
right,
So that of
right,
course we cannot just say that okay X-rays are not good. Yes, there are certain risks involved, but they are minimal. And if you keep if the good equipments are used, so we generally
mm,
follow one principle of ALARA. ALARA is the short form. It's a mnemonic. It's as low as reasonably achievable. So
mm,
here what we do is we maintain the minimum dosage of radiation and we try and obtain the optimal results out of it. So we try to
right,
keep the risk as low as possible as compared to its benefits. Now, when coming back to the pregnancy, yes, see, COVID generally we all know that in this pandemic we know that the main organ which gets involved is the lungs, and for
right,
lungs the modalities which are generally used are first is the X-rays and then the CT scan.
right,
So if any lady, suppose if she's aware that she is pregnant, and if it is in the first 3 months, which we divide pregnancy in three trimesters, as Dr. Kunjal mentioned. So first 3 months, first trimester, then the second, and then the third trimester. So the organogenesis, it's a term which we use. So genesis is the development, is the formation, and organs is the organs of the baby. So when the formation of different organs of the baby is taking place, that is in the first 3 months of the pregnancy. During
right,
this, we definitely ask them to avoid any exposure to X-rays or CT scan. Now,
right,
when we are talking about this, this is not during the pandemic. Now,
mm,
this is otherwise what the routine protocol would
yes,
be. Any patient, any lady coming for any CT or for
mm,
any X-ray or even for a mammography, generally our protocol is to check with her last menstrual date to check whether she is sure that she is not pregnant. And when we
right,
confirm that there is no chance of pregnancy whatsoever, only then we predispose them to any kind of X-ray imaging. Now, when we
right,
are talking about the corona, now there are no other alternative. There are no other modalities by which we
true,
can diagnose whether there is any lung involvement. So, in these
right,
cases, if the pregnancy is beyond 3 months, we would still say that the risk is low as compared to the first trimester exposure to X-rays. So
right,
even then, whether it is first or any trimester, no X-ray or no CT would be done for a pregnant lady without given a lead shield. Lead is a metal which gives certain protection against the X-rays, not against
right,
the primary, but against at
mm,
least the secondary radiation. So
right,
for any pregnant lady, for any X-ray imaging, her abdomen has to be covered with a lead
covered
protector.
up,
Now, if it has to happen in the first trimester, when the organogenesis, the formation of the organs is taking place,
mm,
we consider the risk of any disturbance with the formation of the organs in the body because of the exposure of the mother to the X-rays during this crucial period of time. Now, here we, as a the referring physician, the radiologist, and the
Mm.
patients and the husband, the parents, everybody has to be they all have to discuss it together, and they have to really decide, and they have to understand the risk of getting this and the benefits of getting this particular investigation done. If it is a must, then if the lady has to undergo either a CT or a X-ray. See, nowadays HRCT as compared to a conventional
Yeah.
CT, again HRCT,
Yes.
the exposure is almost 6.5 times lesser as compared to a conventional CT scan. But whatever
Yeah.
X-ray modality that lady is getting exposed to in first
Mm.
3 months, we all must understand that there are increased chances of some congenital, of the some birth defects which may happen in the fetus, for which we have to keep a close watch. And the
Correct.
safest modality for any pregnancy scan to perform during any period of time, during any month of the pregnancy, is, as everybody knows, is the ultrasound, and the second one is MRI. But MRI is
Right.
not used generally as the screening modality. Only when there are certain indications on ultrasound, only then MRI is done. So the modality of choice during pregnancy is ultrasound. We have been using ultrasound for more than 50 years now, and we all know
True.
that it is the safest modality. We have not come across any adverse effect because of ultrasound happening in the unborn baby. We term it as fetus. So
Right.
definitely, so if a pregnant lady has to get exposed to X-rays, we have to follow it up very, very meticulously, especially keeping the genetic and the chromosomal abnormalities in mind.
Thank you so much for that wonderful sharing, Dr. Swati, and especially sharing, about Alara. That was something which is really, really was very, very interesting. Thanks for that. And I think now people know that, even if they have to go for a CT, and HRCT is a better option. So thanks for the wonderful sharing. That brings me to talk to uh, a wonderful Vivin. Vivin, you are expecting at the moment. So I really would like to know from you, in the midst of a pandemic, you get to know that, oh, I'm pregnant, I am expecting. What was your first reaction and how did you deal with it?
So, baby two actually came in as a surprise for us. My first daughter is just 2 years old now,
Right.
and when I got to know 6 months back that I'm pregnant, so we were
Yeah.
like, okay, should we keep it, or what I mean, what we should do?
Yeah.
But I was like, if God has blessed us, I think we should keep it, and we will
Right.
face it. We'll see what happens. But back
Right.
then, the first wave was like almost, was like we thought ki everybody was saying that Corona has gone away from India and all this stuff. Yeah, so it was quite relaxed in Jan,
Yeah. Yeah.
and when the second when we heard of the second wave and it was
Right.
spreading like crazy and there was a lockdown and everything, being a mom of a 2 year old and expecting mom, I had like a panic attack. So I used to feel very scared. If somebody used to go out and come, I was like, "Did you wash your hand? Did you take steam? Did you take bath or whatever it is?" I mean, I just wanted to be safe, and the
Uh,
panic was really, really bad. I had really bad anxiety and whatnot. I used to do meditation to just calm myself down.
yeah.
uh, I think getting pregnant during this pandemic is a very stressful phase for moms, basically. I know
Yeah.
many would say that it's okay, but once you become a mom, you would know the anxiety, the fear that comes in, because you're a mom. You need to be calm, because for yourself, for your health, because mental health is very important during this time. But because of pandemic, everything gets disturbed. So what I do is I try to do meditation, I try to listen to music. I have stopped watching news. So whenever the news is on, I just come away. So then I used to follow some people who,
Yeah.
whenever they started posting about oxygen is not available, can you please share this on in your story? some, and as I'm into social media, I used to
Yes,
get
yes.
lots of DMs saying that please share this. My uncle is not feeling well, and after sharing it, they used to message me that no, he passed away, and
Oh,
that used to make me
yeah,
really, like, scared.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So then what I used to do is I used to just unfollow all the people who used to share about the oxygen and all, because for me at that moment of time my mental health was, very, very
very
important.
important.
Yeah. So now that they're saying that we can take vaccination, so it has brought some hope in me
Yeah.
that, yeah, I can just, even if something happens, that those antibodies are going to protect me from
Yeah.
whatever it is.
That was lovely sharing, Vivin. Thank you so much because I'm sure if the wonderful so many of our viewers, maybe some of them are expecting, and when they hear you, they will get they will be absolutely the fear in them, will go away, and they'll say that, okay, here we have a woman just like us who is expecting. So that's great, Vivian. That's super to know. So that brings me to our only man on our panel. That's the wonderful Nandan. But Nandan has been doing wonderful work where we've been seeing, uh, absolutely an environmentalist, who's getting these wonderful eco-friendly products from the waste of plastic. Okay, and I think that's a beautiful thing what Nandan is doing. So Nandan, what he does is he supports a lot of these economically challenged women, and not only women, the youth too. So Nandan, what I wanted to ask you was that, you supporting them, and of course because of that, they getting their livelihood, but the pandemic got us the lockdown, and the lockdown got everything to shut down. Right. So what is it that you did, and how did you overcome that stage?
Okay, in the second wave,
Mm.
the organization is actually based out of Pune. So there's strict those guidelines that we cannot operate. So we had to shut down for a month or so. And after that, I think 15 to 20 days, we were not allowed to ship also, which meant that
Right.
the complete sale as well as the production went zero for those
Mm.
close to 45 to 50 days. And we were actually pretty sure that we don't want to work in that second way because the health of the artisans who are working with us was also utmost important. So we
Right.
took that hit. I had some of the cash reserves, which helped us in paying the artisans for this for
Right.
these couple of months. Uh,
Right.
so it's always like that. So as an organization, what we do, we upcycle waste plastic bags and biscuit packets, chips packets, gift wrappers. So we get a lot of donation from the individuals across India. So we get donations from, you can say, from the Kargil, which is on the top of the India. Then we keep getting parcels from the Nagaland also. South is a bit more conscious than the all other states, so we do get a lot of plastic from Chennai, Bangalore, and all these cities. But during the COVID, we had actually to keep the precautions were a bit higher. So the plastic which was coming in, so we had to keep a bay where nobody touched it for at least 10 to 12 days. So we knew that at least the plastic it still survives for a couple of days, but we made sure that nobody touched it for at least 10 days. So we were double sure about
Right.
that. But still, you get those kind of packets. So there's it's actually the truth that one of the manufacturer they had one of the plastic waste which was in huge quantity. They said it's completely good quantity and can you use it? I said
Mm.
okay, ship it across to us. But when we actually received it, they had those used COVID kits into it, the COVID
Oh,
testing kits which were used in it. So
right.
actually, we had to shut the office for a couple of days because we were
Right.
not sure what to do with it.
Correct.
So the whole scenario was a bit traumatic for the artisans. Ki, sir, what are you supposed to do with this? Because this is already
Right.
there. We are not sure whether there are some viruses in it or it is not.
Right.
So it was a
Right.
panic. So then we had to actually deal with. There's one more organization who actually works with us. So they took it away in a proper way. And so these kind of scenarios do happen. Now, about the
Mm.
payment, since artisans are utmost
Right.
important in our whole chain, because
Mm.
the basic mission of the organization is one is the upcycling waste, and other is enabling the livelihood for the humble and women and youth from the humble background. So we
Mm.
always kept paying them irrespective of the sales are happening or not. So
Mm.
which is helping them in the long run. So pre-COVID, we actually had that kid-friendly policies also that they can come with their kids in the office. Since most of them are from the humble backgrounds, which means that their spouses are also working
Mm.
to make their ends meet. So
Mm.
if both of them are working, which means that the kids will be almost alone in the home. So we
Right.
have actually accepted that you can come down with your kids. We have a
All
couple of spare laptops, so they come, they can do their online classes with here, and if there are a
Oh,
couple of
lovely.
more kids, so they can play around also. But
Right.
after second wave, we have been a bit higher because they said the Delta variant is actually more brutal with the kids. So it stopped
Kids,
it
yes.
only for the safety because we don't want those kind of cases happening with the kids with us. But as an organization, we do have these kind of policies. Hopefully, the
Okay.
Delta variant, once it goes off, we can start again with that policy.
I think this was wonderful what you've said that you have kid-friendly zones in your organization. I think that's so wonderful because these women when they are working, they I mean, on one side they have got to work and they're going to get money. They're going to get paid for it. On the other side, they have a child who they have to look after it also.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
what a wonderful thing your organization, and then you are doing with your wonderful team. Salute you and hats
Thank you
off
so
to
much.
you. So this brings me, to ask, especially Dr. Kunjal. First, I'll ask you, and then Dr. Swati. But on the same lines, we are all worried about the. The next wave, that's the third wave coming in. The second wave we saw, there was so much of mismanagement. Yeah, mismanagement to the extent there was no oxygen available, there was no beds available, and that because of that, a lot of people. I wouldn't be wrong if I would say, please correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of people even lost their lives because of it. So, what is it that we need, to get prepared for the third wave? Dr. Kunjal, first we will start with you. And yes, I also would like to ask you all, the third wave, they say that, it's going to be affecting the children because the children are not going to get vaccinated. So, uh, please, if you could share with us. Dr. Kunjal, first, if you could start off, please.
Yeah, the most important way to prevent third wave is vaccination, vaccination, vaccination. Best thing is done is that all healthcare workers are being
Yeah,
provided with vaccination. So
right.
most of us who are going to look after the people in all the healthcare fraternity are mostly given both the doses. So
Mm,
we can manage at least a third wave there because we can work without any stress. Because in the
mm,
first wave, I remember we had an emergency cesarean. Patient had an antigen test done rapid, which was negative. Cesarean done. On third day, patient developed fever. Patient said, I want to take discharge. I want to go home. I'm not waiting for RT-PCR report. Fourth day,
mm.
the report comes positive. Patient is no
Oh,
more in the hospital. They're all fine, gone home. My resident
okay.
doctor got fever. She was very
Oh,
worried. She said, Doctor, I am feeling unwell. I've got sore throat, cough, and fever. We
right.
isolated her, and she turned out to be COVID positive.
Oh my God.
Little later, when she was admitted and isolated in the hospital, she turned out to be pregnant
Mm,
because she was married for 2 years. So
okay.
this was like shaking all of us that we have to look after ourselves,
Right.
our
Right.
resident doctors, our
Mm,
nurses, our hospital ward boys. Then only we can look after the patients.
right.
So one by one, we went for sonography with a patient. The resident doctor in the sonography department started getting cough and fever. We
Mm,
isolated him. He lived in the hostel, and we kept tracing people and finding positive in our hostel, in canteen, in the hospital premises, and we had to shut down for 14 days. So the
right.
first
Right.
wave, a lot of confusion was there. We were not vaccinating the pregnant woman. My OT
Right.
staff, we took her for vaccination in
Mm,
January, February. She was refused. Vaccination was
mm,
not given to her because she's
mm.
pregnant.
Right.
The guidelines
Right.
are not very clear.
Mm,
So the now at least if the third wave comes, at
mm,
least we are little sure about
mm.
our state that we are little safe than first and second wave.
Right.
We have
Right.
now available lot of oxygen generation plants have been developed. Smaller cities are having sufficient supply of oxygen. We have better drugs. We are having some basic line of management so that patients should not require oxygen or admission. Lot of
Right.
things can be managed by isolation, home isolation. So many hospitals are even providing home isolation kit for 14 days
Right.
where they are sending nurses online consultation so patient can be managed at home. So
Mm,
for third wave, I think we are much better placed. We are
mm.
much fully vaccinated, and we have lot of ideas about the treatment modalities available.
Okay, great. That's wonderful, Dr. Kunjal. That really makes us feel a little better now that we are ready for the third wave. But as I said, that we as adults are getting vaccinated. But what about the children? The children are not getting vaccinated. So, what do you say about that? How do you keep them safe?
So for time being, I think all the schools are still closed. So
Yes,
one
yes,
thing is
yes.
that they are not opening the school, so we are preventing a major gathering in the schools. So they are doing work from home or school from home, online classes.
Mm.
And I think we are waiting for some vaccine to come for children as early as
Yeah.
possible by August or September.
Yes, yes. I believe that they were already into trials, doctor, that
Yeah, but
for even 10-year-olds that that
yeah, yeah.
uh, the trials were on. So now I guess they are just waiting for the results and for it to start. So that brings me to Dr. Swati. What is your viewpoint on the third wave?
Yeah, I have a little the same point of view on this. See, COVID pandemic when it started at the beginning, it just came as a sudden, as a shock, and we were not prepared. We had
Correct.
very little information. So it was right from the management, from diagnosis to management, everything was based upon trial and error method. So
Right.
initially, what we faced, and when the first peak, when it got faded, we were actually not prepared. We didn't expect the second wave, and rather than I'm an optimistic person, so rather than putting a blame on government and saying it was mismanaged for a country like India where there is such huge population, we when we
Right.
were not prepared, when there is no very little information available, I think this is a situation which for any country it would have happened with this much of population. So let's not
Right.
get into the blame game, and rather we now it is a time for us to introspect and to think that what could have
Right.
gone wrong where and where it could
Mm,
have gone got corrected. So now
mm,
since now we have first wave, second wave, and the right from the diagnosis, again the management, now we know what are the better things, what how better and faster we can diagnose it, at the same time how
mm.
faster we can manage it and keep it under control and prevent it. So the if you see later on, means the now the mortality morbidity it has come down.
Come
So
down.
now with all this
Yes.
experience, of course we have lost so many, so that could have been missed. Nobody was expecting that, but now with all that experience, now we are better prepared for the third wave. At the same time, it's I feel that it's an individual responsibility. Now when we are talking about the the government policies and other hospital, as Dr. Kunjal mentioned, that we all healthcare professionals, everybody is at risk. Still, everyone, because those who are not working in the initial few days of the pandemic, it is not possible for anybody to not work because of the financial things also. So everybody is working, everyone is there, and everyone is at risk. Not only health professionals, but even the shopkeepers or even our grocery shop owner, everyone is at risk. So what's most important for us is to maintain the, how we can prevent. Everybody is aware now. Wear a mask,
Mm.
use a sanitizer, and the SMS,
Yeah.
and social
Yes.
distance maintaining. So when we talk about the triple wave, again, we don't know what exit, whether it will really come, how severe it is going to be, and how well we can manage it with the help of
Correct.
the information we are having right now. And I'm again very positive and optimistic about it. I think we should be able to tackle it. Probably we should not get only. I'm just keeping my fingers crossed. And when we talk about
Right.
the kids, see, government has taken the this thing decision that the schools have not been functional, and I'm sure that parents will definitely will not send
Right.
the kids unless it is 100% gone, and we are all sure about it. But
Right.
but is it what is the situation when we look around? Do you really feel that the schools kids, parents are not sending the kids to the school? But when you see that kids are going out there, people are going on vacation, you see all the most of the places the kids are out. People are taking
Right.
it as an extended vacation. So there it comes, I think, is a it is a time for us also to introspect and to think really whether it is really important. And when we are thinking about the third wave and all, I think we can refrain from all these activities where the number of cases, there are chances that they go this thing on again on a rise. So instead, just keep all those vacation plans on hold some more
On
time.
hold. Yeah.
Just
Yes.
check all the other how the scenes are, and when the COVID pandemic goes away, we all will celebrate the vacations and we'll all have the celebrations together.
Yes, Dr. Swati, I think very well said, because I think each individual needs to take the responsibility. And I think if everyone takes the responsibility, then I think, and as Dr. Kunjal said, if everyone gets vaccinated, yes, or get vaccinated, take the responsibility, then I think the third wave will be a breeze. We will not have so much of stress the way we had it during the second wave. And that brings me to ask Vivin, that is because so one thing I really enjoy about, I always follow Vivin on her social media, and she's got more than 55,000 followers on her Instagram. So she makes these wonderful videos, and she shares it because she's an expecting mom herself. So she shares about it with the other mothers too. Now, there are certain things what we don't share is because it makes us feel awkward. But Vivin even takes those subjects into consideration, and because she feels that if I won't share, how will these mothers get to know about it? So, Vivin, could you please throw light on these wonderful videos that you make and you share it? And she makes it, it makes it so fun. It's really a delight to watch her videos. So if you could please share, Vibin.
So I wanted to share so many things from my first, pregnancy experience, because during my first pregnancy, I didn't know that uh, there are maternity gowns, there are maternity wears,
Right,
yeah. And while nursing, I didn't know, okay, there are dresses which are available with a zip, so that would be easy
right,
for nursing.
right.
And I know you're talking about the video which I made recently. It's about the
Yes.
nursing bras.
Bras, yes,
Um,
yes.
yeah, so I was very, very thin, and when I conceived, I started growing huge. I from XS to XL, almost XL.
Oh,
So,
okay.
so
Huge,
the
huge transfer.
my yeah, my whole wardrobe changed, and
Right.
along with that, the bras also started, changing.
Yeah.
So
Right.
then I got to know that there is something called as bra extenders. You really don't have to buy new ones every time. You just have to use that
Right.
extender so that you can reuse the same.
Right.
Yeah. So these are the things which I learned from my first
Right.
experience. So then I thought, ki this is my second time, and I think this is the right time that I share all these small small things which I learned from my
Right.
experience.
Right.
And being a mom for the second time is actually a different joy, because I see more happiness in my daughter's face. So she's so excited seeing my big tummy.
Yeah.
She's very excited. She asks me every time, "No, what is baby doing?" And so being a mom of a daughter, it makes me
Yeah.
feel more special, because
Right.
there are so many, even now they think that
Hmm.
they should have a son
Hmm.
to carry out their business, or like Varastar kind of thing.
Right.
So
Right.
I want to put a light on this topic in my page, saying that daughters are more special. You being a girl, you
Right.
should celebrate
Right.
having a daughter,
Right.
yeah, and not crib of not having a son, or think that
Yeah.
uh,
Right.
think start thinking now only about her marriage or whatever. Just enjoy the cute moments with your daughter,
Yeah.
and how precious, how beautiful the face is uh, with
Yeah.
the daughter.
Yeah.
And there are so many things to share, because on a
Okay.
daily
Yes.
basis I get lots of questions about the kids. My kid is not eating, my kid is not studying, how is your daughter doing activities, so what are the
Yeah.
activities that we do, how is she listening to you. So
Yeah.
I studied about parenting. I
Mm.
did few certifications on that. Not for the certification, but I wanted to study it for my daughter.
Right.
So, so all those things which I've learned, I try to put
Yeah.
it on my blog so that it helps other moms as well. And
Yeah.
my main intention is to make everybody feel that motherhood is not a stop.
Yeah.
It in fact is the beginning of your new chapter. It is more
Right.
beautiful. Don't think that oh
Yeah.
God, I've become a mother now and my career has stopped. I've become a
Right.
mother now. I can't wear nice dress. No,
Yeah.
you can still come back to your shape. You can
Yeah.
still look fit. You can still look. You can still do so many things even after becoming a
Right.
mother, and it should not be
Right.
a stop.
Brilliant. That was really wonderful. It was so good to know that you actually studied. You actually studied to know more about parenting, to know about motherhood, and as you said, it was not about the certification. It was just because I became a mom. I wanted to know more. And it's so wonderful. What once we become mothers, how things change for us and how we want to
Yeah,
do everything for our children. And as I always say, when we get married, our life changes. But I think when we have children, our life is not ours. We literally live for our children. So that brings me to Nandan. Nandan, I really would like you to share. I know you have your wonderful children, if I'm not wrong. And I wanted to know what was your experience, when your wife was expecting. At that time it was pre-pandemic times and things were much more different at that point in time. But as a father, what was the role that you played?
Okay, so I might have to go back, I think 10 years back, because my daughter is
Yeah.
10 and we have stopped
Yeah.
at one. So we didn't want the second child.
Okay.
So it was
Okay.
actually pre-decided because we both wanted daughter. So the moment we
Okay.
got that
Oh,
daughter, we
lovely.
said no. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we don't need more. So
Right.
why to create for those kind of complications and love might
Right.
be divided and all that stuff.
Right.
Uh, so the journey actually when we were married, so we tried for the baby, but then we couldn't because my wife had PCOD. So it was
Oh,
a bit difficult for her to conceive. So it took us 2 to 3 years. But
right.
luckily, but before the IVFs and everything were actually suggested to us, so it happened naturally at that time. Then the journey actually, my wife started actually having problems in the seventh month, and then the daughter was actually premature. So she was hardly 31 weeks when she was born. So it was
Mm.
good 10, 11 weeks before. Was there in the incubator and all that for a couple to 1.5 month. Developed sepsis, if I'm not wrong, if it is pronounced that way, during that,
Right.
because she was into that. What do you? So ICU was there, and then she developed the sepsis because there was a death in that on the same bed. So the infection was there.
Oh
It
my
went
God.
into her. She already had those weak because immunity wasn't developed because she was 31. But somehow
Okay.
she struggled because she was a baby girl. That's what
Right.
the doctor said, because if baby girl, the fighting spirit will be higher than the baby boy.
Okay.
And after that, she's actually healthy, nothing, perfectly fine as a kid. As a role, and after my daughter actually was born, I had the courage to move out of my corporate job and start this the journey. So I think it was pretty lucky for me also, because I could
Right.
some muster some courage also in that case.
Right.
So it
Right.
helped me in that way actually, because after a year my wife started working. So I let me be upfront, because most of the males might have this issue that the male ego comes into it when we start a entrepreneur journey. Then it might be a couple of years while you will not be earning. because
Yeah.
it doesn't fetch you money. So at
Right.
that time, my wife actually came and then she supported me as a person because you have to pay bills at the end of the day.
Right.
Every month, your paper wala will come, your bijli wala will come, your doodh wala will come, your grocery wala will come. So you have to pay at the end of the day. That's the world how it
Right.
works.
Right.
So she pitched in. She's still working actually. That's how we go through the ups and downs of my business because it's completely social structure. So
Hmm.
that the birth of my daughter has actually changed a lot. I was there in Mumbai. I shifted back with my family. So it's in any corporate life when you grow, they move to your corporate offices, which were either in Mumbai, either in Gurgaon at that time. So I preferred Mumbai because it is closer to Pune.
Right.
So I could go back, take that risk. I actually had given couple of years for myself that if I can do some change in terms of doing something beneficial to the society as well as make money out of
Hmm.
it also.
Right.
So, because in those 2 years, you will be still valid for the market because in
Right.
today's world, the skills are changing in each and every year. So, I was
Right.
majorly into sales and development. So, working with electronic giants like Sony was my last work in Sony India. So, I had the faith if I still will like to go back to the corporate life, the 2 years will be the time when they will still accept me back because the
Yeah.
skill set which I have, it will be relevant in that
But
market.
yeah. Yeah.
But somehow things started working. It wasn't great at that time, but then it started working. We could start seeing that there's some traction coming out of these ideas. So I thought, okay, let's
Right.
give it a try. So technically, yes, the birth of my daughter has been a life-changing experience for me.
So they say, that when you have a daughter, you have a Lakshmi, and the Lakshmi comes
Yes,
into your life,
yes, yes,
and
yeah.
it's as you had a really tough time, Nandan. They say tough times don't last, but tough people do, and I think that was absolutely brilliant, and I can completely, absolutely, I can understand what you went through because both my children were born with congenital issues, and my elder one has had 7 surgeries, my younger one has had 5 surgeries. So I can totally understand that. That brings me to thank you, Nandan. That brings me to
So,
ask Dr.
so,
Kun.
Suhani,
Dr.
one
Kun,
one experience. I'll share one
ah,
experience about
yes,
Nandan. One father, very
yeah,
excited. He said to get the paternity feel, I want to
yeah,
cut the umbilical cord.
Ah, okay.
So he said, my wife is suffering so much.
yeah,
So I want to do something for the getting the feeling of being a father. So please let me cut the umbilical cord. Now the baby is mine.
hmm,
I will look after the baby. So
yeah,
before that, he even said, I want to record the first cry of my baby. I want
yeah,
to video shoot the first hair of the baby coming out. So he was with his video camera all around us. And
yeah.
when the baby came out, he fell down. Video camera also broke.
He
I can
fainted.
imagine actually. Yeah.
Yeah,
He said,
lot of men
doctor.
cannot take it. Yes, lot of men
Yes.
cannot take it.
So
Yeah,
he said, I can't believe this so much. She's suffering, but the baby started crying, and he was holding the
yeah,
baby. It was
yeah,
so both of them were so happy, and we were so satisfied. Even
yeah.
remaining awake whole night, we were fine sitting with them and smiling and taking a
Right.
picture.
Yeah. So, Dr. Kunjal, this brings me to ask you, you all have so many emergency cases coming in. In fact, yesterday, when we were having our mock, with all the panelists, you had just come, from dealing with an emergency. If you could please share that with us.
This was my pregnant patient who works at Dadar. From
Right.
Kolaba, she takes a bus because
Hmm.
she's at the same bus. She doesn't have to take the to change the buses or auto or
Right.
train. So she
Hmm.
was standing at the bus stop.
Hmm.
Suddenly, she felt very giddy and she
Hmm.
collapsed at the bus stop.
Right.
So the husband immediately called me, Doctor, my wife has collapsed. She's 6 months pregnant. I'm at work. I'm away at Thane. What do
Hmm.
I do? Since I live at Kolaba, we rushed to the bus stop, which was very close to my house. With my driver and my car, we could get her on my car and got her to my clinic. First thing I saw, the whole face was with rash. She was having wounds on her face, on her hand, on her knees. Luckily, she didn't have any bleeding. We did an emergency ultrasound. because I have a
Mm,
portable small sonography machine in my clinic. The
mm.
heartbeat was there. There was no retroplacental clot. So we kept her under observation in my clinic for 3-4 hours. We gave her drip. We counseled her that you are fine, your baby is fine, and nothing will happen to you. We'll keep a strict watch on you. We kept her for 3 to 6 hours in my clinic, and then she went away. Then a whole family had discussed with them that what time she gets up, what is her breakfast, did she didn't eat her breakfast. She can't keep falling here on the road when she's pregnant. This could have been a major catastrophe. So the whole family and we discussed. Then I explained the whole diet pattern. That what is she eating for breakfast? She can carry some glucon D, some Parle G biscuits, some eclair chocolates. If she's feeling giddy on the way, she can have a coconut water on the way to work. So I think when the pregnant women are working, we have to counsel them regarding their diet, their water intake. Even while sitting in the office, if they're long hours, we tell them to put a stool below their legs so they don't get edema feet, and get up in between every half an hour, 1 hour, move around in the office space so you don't get swelling. Because we allow them to work in pandemic now, since the trains are available for essential services. She said, doctor, I want to work. I don't want to sit at home because financially I am not that fine to sit at home for 9 months. So after counseling and a proper diet explanation, she's back to work. Today she went to office and she messaged me that she's fine.
That's absolutely brilliant, Dr. Kunjal. I think when we have doctors like you around, it's such a big boon. Absolutely wonderful. That brings me to ask Dr. Swati. Dr. Swati, you are a doctor, you are an entrepreneur, and I really want to ask you as an entrepreneur too. That during the pandemic, as we talked, with the pandemic, we had the lockdown. With the lockdown, everything was shut, So, how did you cope up with it because you have diagnostic centers? I know that about you. And how did you all cope up with it, doctor?
Yeah. So first, I want to make it clear that I have diagnostic centers where there is
Yes.
no CT imaging available because
Okay.
now we have seen there is sudden high, the surge in number of CT cases. So
Yes.
CT modality and the CT owners, the business, of course, they have been doing well because they are seeing maximum number of cases. But
Right.
our main modality is ultrasound. So yes,
Right.
ultrasound, as I initially mentioned, that the number of cases have drastically gone down now. But the other liabilities and the outgoings, especially the salaries of the staff and all, everything remains the same. And now just because now to just cope up with the financial challenges, we cannot average it out by when there are fewer number of patients by charging them more. Now,
Right.
initially, there were too many other expenses also in addition at the beginning of the pandemic that initially we were working by, wearing PPE kits. We were even offering a few of the kits to the patients as well. So
Right.
initially, we were charging a little extra for that because then we were limiting the number of cases, the time interval between the two patients would be longer because we had to sanitize each and every corner and every room of the center after the first patient leaves the center. So
Mm.
all these things were definitely the additional expenses. So the income, of course, the income and expenses were definitely not proportionate, and there were more expenses. But then slowly, then now after a 1.5 year, now we have realized that it is going to be part of life, and not only it's not going to be a temporary phase. So initially we were charging little extra, but then as you mentioned that everyone was
Yeah.
getting affected. There was nobody who was not financially affected in this
Right.
pandemic. So people who were coming and when they were sharing their challenges as well. So we tried to do our bit. So we went back to our original charges. So now we are charging the same what we were charging before the pandemic, though we are taking the same precautions and doing and offering the same things to the patients and keeping the same sanitization. So this is our bit what we are doing. But at the same time, see, there is nothing that in our country now, because we are doctors and because we are working, we are not getting any extra benefits or any facilities in terms of whether it is as Mr. Nandan mentioned, all these expenses they remain the same even for the doctors. So it's not
Right.
only for the diagnostic centers but even for our at our home also we have to still pay our electricity bills and our
Absolutely.
now we, of course we are not going for the newspaper, so we are saving on that because I am, as you can also mention, I don't use any of the news, watch any of the news channels. So yes, we are saving on that. But the other expenses remain the same. We are paying the school fees for our kids also.
Yes,
So
yes,
here, actually,
absolutely.
when Vivian mentioned it, so I'm so happy, Vivian, to know that you have a daughter and you are such a wonderful parent, and you shared your view. And Nandan also, when he mentioned that even he has a doctor. So I just want to mention I'm also a proud mother of two daughters. So people may
Okay.
take it otherwise that people who
Right.
are doing radiologists doing ultrasonography, they can make use of it otherwise.
Yeah.
But I'm here. I want to make a mention that for me, I didn't
Yeah.
know what I'm going to have. And but when my gynecologist after delivery, I asked her what is it,
Yeah.
and both the
Yeah.
times I was delighted to know that
Uh,
I have two daughters, and as Dr. Sohani mentioned, they are Lakshmi
yeah.
in our Indian culture. We welcome them as
Yes.
Lakshmi, and I have named them after Lakshmi. So I have named them Soumya and
Lovely.
Reva, which are the two names of
Oh,
this Lakshmi. So I'm really
right.
blessed to have two daughters. And
Right.
coming back to this, yes, it is part of life, but instead of cribbing and rather than thinking and having there are no other ways. I feel that means instead of asking for help, now we just everybody has to learn to be patient because
Right.
everyone is going through the sailing in the same boat
Same.
and passing
Yes.
through the
Yes.
same phase of life. So I'm sure just by sharing our challenges with our friends and our well wishers and people like you, definitely we will all overcome this, and this is definitely a
Right.
temporary phase, and we will do wonders post this because what we in difficult times when we try and understand the challenges of each other, definitely we are going to do very well in our future as well. This is what I believe.
Absolutely, Dr. Swati, very well said. As they say, this too shall pass.
Ah,
And as we are all very hopeful for it, we know that it will pass. And we being the human tribe, we are very strong. We have got that inner power and inner strength in us. So definitely, we are all in it, and together we can win it. So there is nothing better than that. This brings me to ask the wonderful women, if you could please quickly tell our audiences and our viewers, uh, your about your handle, your social media handle, and what's it called, please.
So my social media handle is called Supergalviv, Supergalviv.
So why
uh,
Super Gal? I like the name.
So this I created when I was in engineering. So we had
oh,
a
okay.
session, and
Yeah.
so I felt that I have all the superpowers back then. I felt I can do drawing, I can sing, I can dance. I'm really super girl. So that I kept, and the same thing just continued. So I didn't want it to change because it's been a lucky name for me. So
Okay,
yeah.
lovely. So do connect with Vivian on her Super Gal handle on Instagram. And if any of you all have any queries about your pregnancy, of what you're going through, or any fears, or just being a mom, what it is, just go to her handle and watch her lovely videos. It will bring a smile to your face because she shared such beautiful videos of her lovely daughter and even of her husband, who's a wonderful dad. And I think that's so wonderful to see. That brings me to Nandan. If you could quickly share, your handles that you are available on, and where EcoCari is available.
Okay, so the
The
website,
products, of
yeah, yeah,
EcoCari.
so the
Yeah.
products will be available on the website, which is www.ecokari. Ecokari is
Mm,
ECOKAARI.org. And
right.
all the social media handles are by the name of Ecokari. So Insta, LinkedIn, Facebook,
Right.
YouTube, all is with by the
Okay.
name handle of the Ecokari.
Great, super.
I'll
That's
definitely
fantastic.
follow Vivian because let's see if we can collaborate on some other things. Let's see.
Sure, why not? Why
Yeah.
not? So
Yeah.
that brings me to ask both our doctors, wonderful doctors, if you all could tell us your handles, please. Dr. Swati first, if you could tell us your social media handle.
Yeah, the name of my center is Precision Diagnostic Center,
Yes,
and the
yes.
website is www.precisiondiagnosticcenter.com, and I'm having the Insta and YouTube account in the same name.
Okay, great. So Precision Diagnostic Center. Yes.
Vivian,
And
I will
that brings,
definitely follow you. I would really love
yeah.
to watch your videos.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you.
And Dr. Kunjal, if you could tell us if you are on
Yeah.
social media, and if you are, if
So
you could tell
basically,
us what
yeah,
you
I'm having a website name of my clinic,
right.
www.strandclinic.com. And
Okay,
here we are giving all the information to the patients about breastfeeding, lactating, all diet, nutrition, exercise. We are doing too much work on yoga and exercise during pregnancy. And now I
great.
would include Vivian's videos for my patients.
Lovely. So I think this brings us to the end of this wonderful, panel discussion that we've had. What lovely sharings, and just from the way we started, as Dr. Kunjal said, that vaccination, vaccination, vaccination. Yes, that is the way forward for each and every one of us, and the way. Dr. Swati shared an amazing acronym, ALARA. I'm never going to forget it because the way it sounds and what it means, I think that was very, very, it's really nice to know these terms, so that people can also connect with them. And as you mentioned, that, the difference between an HRCT and a CT, so that people get more knowledge about it. And now they know that HRCT is something which is more safer, so that's absolutely wonderful. And of course, Vivin, the wonderful mom blogger, super gal Vivin, as she's known on Insta, she's sharing her lovely, wonderful experiences as a mother, and again as to be mother again. And lovely sharings, Vivin. Thank you so much. And Nandan Bhatt, we really thank you for the wonderful work that you're doing at Ecokari. You're doing so much work for our environment, which I think is absolutely brilliant, taking into consideration that even though you're working for the environment, but at the same time, you're working for the economically challenged women as well as the youth. And what a wonderful thing is that your organization is kids friendly, so the mothers can get their kids to work. I think that's absolutely brilliant. So, what a beautiful, lovely panel discussion. Once again, gratitude to each and every one of you, because each and every one of you all are doing such wonderful work. The doctors really salute you all. I think the whole world is saluting you all because of the wonderful work. Even Dr. Swati, yesterday when we were having our mock, she was all ready to get help out a patient, So I really see the kind of work you all are doing, Dr. Kunjal, Dr. Swati, seriously wonderful. And thank you very much for giving us your time. And yes, Dr. Shruva has got a wonderful memento for each and every one of you all. And very soon, by I think by next month, it will be delivered to your residences or your offices if it's on. Well, on that note, I shall take leave from each and every one of you. And I'd like to thank our entire C4 Wellness team, our entire webinar team, we've got a very young team who's handling this entire webinar. I know a few of their names. That's Nishi and Pranay. Guys, if you're here, a shout out to you. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank technical support team for this wonderful webinar that they are airing on Zoom. Thank you once again. And yes, we shall see you soon next Saturday. Next Saturday is going to be another wonderful webinar at the same time. That's 6:30 p.m. and that's 17th of July. And you know what's the title of that webinar? Well, it is mental health, and nutrition. And we've got a wonderful uh, panel. We've got Dr. Prakriti Prodar, who's abroad. We've got Purnima Shrishkar, who's the founder of Shape Udyogini. We've got Dr. Shraddha Maheshwari, and we've got Dr. Shilpa Joshi. So looking forward to seeing you all soon next week. Again, on that note, I'd like to say, as I say it all the time, please stay safe, get yourselves vaccinated, and if you have anything bothering you, don't keep it within yourselves. Share it with a friend who you trust or your family member, because if you keep it bottled up within you, it's only going to harm your health. If you share it, you'll find a solution for it. And in these times, you don't only have to look after your health, you have to look after your family's health too, right? So let's do that, all of us together. Thank you once again, everyone. Dr.
Thank you.
Kunjal, Dr. Swati, lovely Vivin, and Nandan Bhatt. See you
Thank you.
soon. God bless. Have a great evening ahead. Bye
Thank
bye.
you.
Thank you, Dr. Swani, for having us on this panel and for having this wonderful session. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you, ma'am.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you.